apologize for being late because I was actually at Cyberport. Do you know Cyberport? Like, it's quite far away from here. I was in Cyberport doing a radio program, so that's why it actually took me 2 hours to travel from Cyberport to here. The traffic was quite bad in the crossover tunnel. Anyways, it's very good for me to be able to share with you some of my experience in corporate communication. My previous role was actually a general management role, but with my particular interest in marketing and communication. So that's why I'm going to share with you some of the what I've done in TSL. Can I understand a bit more about yourself? Who are actually from Hong Kong? Okay, most of you from Hong Kong. Who are from China? Oh, okay, you're also from China. Great, okay. Okay, and any country besides China and Hong Kong? Oh, okay, where are you from? From New Zealand. Wow, Kiwi, yeah. Okay. I've been to New Zealand once. It was very interesting. I like Queenstown.
Oh, yes.
You were from there?
I've been there, but it's nice to ski.
Okay, I wish I could go again. Okay, so any other places other than New Zealand, China, Hong Kong? Any other places? No, okay. Okay, great. So if you are from Hong Kong or China, you probably have heard of TSL before, right? Sherry. Okay, because but from New Zealand, you probably have not heard of it.
No, but I lived around here for a long time.
Oh, and you've seen some of the shops?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but when you're walking around and see the shops, you probably have not noticed the changes in the signages and the logos of the company. There are some stories behind which I'm going to share with you. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to give you a little background of TSL. TSL was the name of a founder called Sherry Lin. Okay, he was actually a very hardworking goldsmith. He actually was not highly educated. He was only educated for 2 years in primary school. He did not receive any formal education. Unlike you guys, you have formal education in tertiary, you have master degree, right? So, but him, even though he's a very talented entrepreneur, he was not educated at all. He was only, because he was very poor. He didn't have money. I mean, his family was very poor. So his mother sent him to a goldsmith and to ask him to learn how to do the jewelry, the gold jewelry. Have you bought any gold jewelry before? Yeah? Okay, so you love gold?
No.
No?
Because just like this, it's for life.
Oh, okay, so it's a little bit trendy, huh? Okay, but in the past, like about 50 years ago, before Mr. TSL formed his company, he started a very traditional goldsmith life at the age of 13. He was very young when he started the business. No, he didn't start the business. He went to learn how to do the goldsmith. And then he was a very quick learner, and after he finished learning making gold, he think that gold products do not give him a good opportunity to make money, because he's very money-minded. He said he thought maybe I should learn how to make jewelry, diamond jewelry, because diamond jewelry is actually, you can price a lot higher. So he then changed to learn how to do diamond setting, diamond jewelry. So at the very young age, about 20 odd years, he decided that, okay, now I have learned everything, I should start my own business. So he started his first factory in Hong Kong, in Tsim Sha Tsui, somewhere near here. He started his first factory in Tsim Sha Tsui using his own name. Oh, okay. Using his own name. How can I? Okay, here, 謝瑞龍, right? So when he started his own brand name, he said that, okay, I'll just use my name, okay? And he doesn't want to think of another brand name. So he said, okay, I'm going to use my name. And because he does not have a high education, he thought, okay, maybe I just use my initial, TSL, Xie Ling, as the logo of the company. Because he didn't have a formal education. So everything that he thought would be very simple, very direct, and very down to earth. So he started his own business as a small factory. Then he grew his business, and after about 20 years, TSL was the first company, a jewelry company, to go into China and start a shop in China. Can you guess where is the first shop in China? Can you guess? Shenzhen? No. Shenzhen at that time was not even founded yet. Shanghai? No, that was too obvious. Guangzhou? Supposed to be, because it's close, right? No, it was in Harbin. So Harbin was very far away, right? So I don't know why. He just started his first business in China, in Harbin. And he was very lucky, and because he started very early in China. In China, the brand was very good. I mean, it was regarded as one of the more premium brands as compared to other local brands in China. So he had earned a lot of money. So that's why after about like 20 years or so, he had made enough money to decide to build his brand, to really do a rebranding of the company, because he said, oh, okay, now it's about time I have recruited enough professionals, marketing people, to help me build the brand. So he started his brand and employed, contract a lot of celebrities. Can you recognize some of these faces? This is Zhou Yunfan. And this is Aaron Kwok, Guo Fuchen, Zheng Yijian, Zhou Wakin, Zhou Huajian, and Yang Chaini. There's a lot of different celebrities that he used. But because he was still very, not very educated, so what he's thinking is maybe a simple logo is serving the whole purpose. He doesn't want any fancy stuff. He doesn't want any design or anything. We're just direct, but with one special addition. Can you guess what this is? It looks like a Chinese character. 田 田 的嘛，好似個田字咁啊，田。And at first he said, okay, this is something that I start my own business. So he started his own very simple logo to start with. And in fact, this is TSL. TSL. Okay, so that was very simple. When he started his own business, he said, okay, this is my logo. Okay, so then the company started to expand from Hong Kong to Macau to China to Malaysia to Singapore to Taiwan to different parts of Asia. So he decided that, okay, now it's a regional company, it's a regional Asia company. So I should position ourselves as headquarters in Hong Kong. So he added a logo bar here and then Hong Kong underneath. Like when you go to see the other brands like Louis Vuitton or Gucci, a lot of times when you see underneath the logo, they have a lot of different cities' name, right? Hong Kong, New York, Tokyo, all these, to demonstrate that it is an international brand. So at that time, he was thinking, okay, because I'm an Asian brand, so I should add my city into the logo. But at the same time, he wants to highlight that it is a Hong Kong brand. So that's why he added this logo bar underneath Hong Kong. Okay, so it's a Hong Kong brand. But after a while, his son, after graduation from the United States, because he sent all his sons to abroad to education. So he studied in Boston University in America, and he was highly influenced by the American culture. So when he finished his study, he came back to the company and told his dad that I want to take up your company. I want to take over and I want to do a rebranding of the company, because he said, well, what you have done is good, but what you've done is kind of old-fashioned, 老土啊. It doesn't look like very trendy. So when Tommy is the son, the name of the son, when Tommy came on board, he said the logo here is very cumbersome. Like here, it's very old-fashioned. You know, the Chinese character, very bulky type of design. So what he think that he should do is to simplify the logo into TSL Sherry Ling at the back, and the logo bar, he keeps the logo bar as the separation. So what he wants to create a brand image, or the feeling of the brand, is a more fresh look, a more contemporary looking brand. So that's why when this was his ideal case, is to revitalize a very old-fashioned brand, because this brand was established about 50 years ago. So it's quite a long established brand. So it was a very long journey for a brand to revitalize, especially for a long history brand like this. So I'm going to show you the steps that we have taken to revitalize the brand. First of all, when you do a brand revitalization, you are not just creating another logo, because logo to a company is, or to a general consumer, it doesn't mean much. It's just a sign, right? It's just some graphics. But to a company, it is actually representing the company. The logo actually represents the essence of the company, or the belief of the owner himself or herself. So that's why when we design a logo, we just don't, oh, graphically it looks good, graphically it's beautiful, or graphically it looks stunning. We're not trying to do things like that. What we try to do is to create a brand that represents the feeling or the vision of the founder. So when we go back to the founder, what is the most important thing in their mind? First of all, I told you earlier, Mr. Sherry Ling was a goldsmith himself, right? He was very concerned about the design of the jewelry, the craftsmanship of the jewelry, how well he made the jewelry. So this was the vision of a founder. He's not just making a brand that is selling for money. He's making a brand that is making the best design, the best craftsmanship. So that's why we try to highlight highlight something that is to demonstrate that is a highly crafted brand. And how we going to demonstrate it? Because in terms of brand revitalization, you just don't just create a design. You have to have a product to support it. So when we first revitalize the brand, because we want to let people know that TSL is a brand of high craftsmanship, we created things like this. This is an iPad, right? And it's studded with diamonds. This is a diamond-studded Apple logo, okay? And for the ladies who have the crystal nails, right? And these crystal nails are studded with diamonds as well. So we try to demonstrate to the market that TSL can do something very interesting, very technically difficult, but we can still do that. And this is a Bluetooth earpiece to demonstrate how the craftsman can do things unconventionally. This is a Snoopy, right? Can you guess how many pieces of diamonds being set on it? Over 10,000 pieces of diamonds being set on top of it. So we try to demonstrate that TSL can actually set diamonds circular, round, and when you test it, when you touch on it, it won't scratch you. Even if you put on an MS scarf, you know MS? MS, like those very expensive scarf from France, right? It's silk. It's easily being torn. But even when you put an MS scarf on top of this Nupi, it won't scratch. So this is how we try to demonstrate TSL was a brand of craftsmanship. Another way we want to demonstrate, or we want to create a brand that is modern and quite contemporary, very different from the traditional Mr. TSL, was to highlight the management team. This is the management team. This is Tommy. Tommy is the son of the founder, and Annie was the CEO and the chairman. She was the wife of Tommy, and HR director and the CFO, and of course myself. Okay, so this was the way that when we do a corporate communication. This is a photo release that we release to the media. That we try to demonstrate that TSL has changed. TSL was no longer the TSL that you know before. The management team has changed. The logo is going to be changed. The shop design is going to be changed. So this is one of the illustration. And this is what it looks like after being released. Like we do photo release. You know, press release, right? You're from PR profession, right? You do press releases. When we do that rebranding, we actually send out press releases to the media. And the media actually caught up quite well. This is Mr. Jie Shuilun, Sherry Jie Shuilun. And he was 70-odd years old, and he also dressed like us, trying to demonstrate the dynamic management team. Okay. And besides the product support, when we do a rebranding, beside the logo design, one very important element of the rebranding is a tagline. You know tagline, right? A statement that demonstrates what this brand is all about, right? So a tagline is important in the sense that it summarizes what the brand want to tell to the consumers. So we have created this tagline, 非凡工藝潮流演繹 trendsetting craftsmanship. The reason why we chose this tagline is because it's broken into two parts. One is 非凡工藝 craftsmanship, okay? Because Mr. Jie Shuilun himself was a craftsman himself. He was very concerned about the exquisite craftsmanship. So we want to retain his spirit in the brand. But because this was a brand 50 years ago, we really want to tell the world that TSL has evolved into another different stage. And this brand is coping with the trend. We are not lagging behind our competitors. We are coping with the development of the brand. And that's why we add the first part, trend setting. We are not a trend follower. We are setting the trend. So that's why it's 非凡工藝潮流演繹，非凡工藝潮流演繹。This is the way that we demonstrate to the market that TSL has evolved into a different stage. Okay? So how are we going to do that? There are different ways that we add these brand elements into the revitalization project. It will be in the product support, the distribution, which is the shop design, the promotion, and how the people live up with this tagline. First of all, when we do communication, you will think of what? Advertising, right? Advertising, when you see the advertising, the ads on the newspaper or the magazines, you will see people have ad templates, advertising templates, right? It's a certain format or certain color that represent the brand, right? So what we have redesigned is to add a bar underneath all communication materials. It's a purple bar. The purple bar that represents TSL. because TSL, like jewelry brand, red, you think of 周大福, right? 周大福, right? Red. When you think of blue, you think of Tiffany, right? When you think of royal red, red with some kind of gold ribbon, it's Cartier, right? So what a brand needs to have some kind of color to represent the importance of the brand. So what we have chosen was with purple. Purple is something very elegant, right? Because when we're talking about jewelry, we're not talking about the mass jewelry. We're talking about high-end jewelry. And when you think of royal, like in the emperor, when in the Western world, when you go to a royal family banquet, people will wear purple gown. I mean the king, right? So we think that purple is something that is good for a brand. So we created a logo bar in purple color. And then we add the new logo, TSL Zeswalong, at the left-hand side. And then the right-hand side, you see the tagline, 非凡工藝潮流演繹, the trendsetting craftsmanship on the right-hand side of the logo bar. Because whenever you see this communication, you know that purple is from TSL, and you have a new logo design, and this tagline will illustrate how that brand stands for in the consumer's mind. Okay, that was the first change that we made, is the communication template, the advertising campaign. Secondly is the shop design, right? Because when you talk about communication, what is the most effective communication besides advertising? It's the shop. Because that's where you meet your customers. That's where your customers actually experience the brand, right? So that's why we put a lot of effort in redesigning the design of the shop. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we do that. You would like to take a seat? Okay, so as you can see, okay, have you been to any of a TSL shop before? Anyone? Oh, okay, you do. Okay, you do. Okay. I don't know whether you have noticed, or other jewelry brands. Have you been to Zhou Daifeng or Zhou Shengsheng? Yeah. Okay. Do you find any differences between these shop design? Any comments? Sorry? Light. Which one is light? More decorative. Okay. You think TSL is more like design? Okay. And any other comments? Or have you been to other jewelry brands? Okay. If you haven't, I'll show you. Traditional jewelry brand is like this. Very old-fashioned. This was TSL in the past. This was the Soilon, right? The logo. It doesn't really have a TSL in front. It was the first logo. The Soilon, right? And it's Chinese calligraphy. And also, it's like what we call a matai design, a horseshoe design. When you go to a traditional goldsmith shop, you will see a circular display counter, and the salesman stand inside the circular counter, right? And then the customer actually stand in front of the counter, and then I want this and I want this, and the salesman inside the circular will give you the jewelry to try it out. That was a very traditional, very old-fashioned way of design. But when you go into a TSL shop right now, it's changed totally, because the concept is changed. The concept was, you are not asking the customer to go to you, but our salesman to come to the customer. So that's why when we do the design, we first of all change Okay, I'm going to talk about the design of the layout first. The logo is changed a little bit, right? From very Chinese calligraphy to a Chinese calligraphy, but we're adding a logo color. You see, right? Adding the purple in here. This is in China. Yeah, in the year 2000 in China. That is, in China, we have smaller shops because China, we operated in department stores. But in Hong Kong, we operated in high streets shopping districts. So it's a much bigger shops in Hong Kong. But in China, it's like this in the past. Okay, so you see the evolution, right? And then we try to change the logo design. Remember, we want to simplify it into TSL, right? So what we try to do is, in terms of shop front, we do a sketch like this, and this is how it looks. This is a new facade. This is the design, the logo, TSL, and a new logo typeface. It's more clean and modern than the previous ones. And this was how it looks, right? Another very important element in branding is the mood of the shop. Just now, one of the classmates have shared that when she walked into TSL shop, they find that it's more design feel. It's more unconventional than the traditional jewelry shop because we do a lot of mood board when we do the design. We create, we add the elements that the kind of feeling, what kind of feeling that we want to project to the customer. We add a feature wall. This is the feature wall, and this is how the feature wall looks. Because whenever we add these kind of elements, it actually adds up to the brand perception. Because when you walk inside a shop, you see a feature wall. Then you walk into a Zhao Cheng Sang or Zhao Dai Fok, it doesn't have the same feature wall, then that means you are walking into a different brand. But when you see the same brand, the same feature wall again, just like this in China, this is the same brand. So we try to highlight that a brand has a lot of common elements throughout the communication process. Be it a tagline, be it a logo bar, be it a logo color, or be it a feature wall. Okay? So besides the feature wall, we also have to have graphics. In the past, we have these very traditional Hong Kong style graphics like this. This was something that Mr. Jie Shuilun liked because he really likes this kind of a image of a brand. But when Tommy was in position, he think that, okay, I'm from America. I really want something different. Oh, okay. Oh, I skipped that part. Okay, I give you this. Oops. Here. He suddenly changed to this. Very different, huh? Because that's how he wants other people to perceive. TSL was not just a Hong Kong brand. It's a regional brand. It's a regional brand that is most international. That's what's his vision. Because remember, when we do brand revitalization, I talked earlier on, you have to reflect the vision of the founder or the vision of the owner. At that time, Tommy was the owner of the company. So his vision is to develop TSL was the Asian brand that has the most international feel. It's the most international looking Asian brand. So that's why he added this in, he changed from a completely Hong Kong style to a American feel. And then consistently, every 2 years, he changed the graphics. Have you noticed any difference? Have you noticed any differences? Okay. Any differences? No, right? If you say no, I'm glad. Because, as I said, this is a perception game. Like when you try to create some kind of image inside people's mind, you have to be consistent. You don't want to change from here to there, and then there to there, there and here. Like, it doesn't create a consistent mind, a lasting memory into people's mind. So when you create a brand, you have to be consistent. So that's why when you see in the year 2004, when he changed from a totally Hong Kong image to an American image, every 2 years he reshoot these images. You see the models are different, the dresses are different, the jewelry are different, but the style are the same, right? The tone and manners are the same, right? Of course, there will be a little bit adjustment. Say, for example, suddenly he added a dog here. This was something that I like, but it's very different from the past. But overall speaking, we have maintained the kind of Western feeling, American type of feeling of the brand. Okay, so this is very interesting. Going back to the design. Okay, so when we talk about design, we also I remember I told you that traditional goldsmith, you want to design something inside. The salesman standing inside to serve the customer. But now he wants to change the total retail concept. He wanted our salesman to come out to serve the customers. And that's why he broke down the circular design into islands of display racks or display counters. So that when you walk around, the salesman can come out to serve you, next to you, standing next to you. When you at a TSL shop, you will be served by at least 2 salespersons. One standing inside here, where she will take out the jewelry for you to try on. Another person will be standing next to you, because for ladies, when you wear the necklace or the earrings, sometimes you need help, right? So you will have to be served by another people to help you tidy up your hair and all those. So this is a completely new way of retail concept, and that's why he created these design. It's an island of design, islands, just like this. Okay. Here, islands of design. Instead of a circular way of doing that. Okay. Okay. So when we talk about branding or symbols or logos or designs, it is good that we should keep it consistent for a number of years, because when you design a logo, it's very expensive. Redesigning a whole process, it takes years to complete, right? Because you have the letterheads, you have the envelope, you have the shop design, you have everything to change. So it's actually costs the brand a lot of money to do the rebranding exercise. But sometimes you do need revitalization, or sometimes you do need to lighten it up, to make some enhancement. Because if the brand is, the logo looks too old, or the design is too old, or too long that you have not changed, the consumers will think that, oh, this is an old brand. This is a brand that I don't like to visit. Especially for young people, they like to go into something that is up and trendy, right? So that's why when we do complete the design, every 5 years or 10 years, no, not 10 years, probably 5 years. Every 5 years or so, we change the design. Okay, so what I have shown you was the generation 4, which is quite old generation. Then they have Generation 5. Generation 5 is one step ahead of Generation 4, TSL Zesur. This is a new brand called TSL Saks. This was not launched in Hong Kong. This was only launched in China. So I don't know whether you have seen this brand in China. No? It was not as many as in TSL shop. TSL shop, we have about 300 shops in China. But Saks, I think we had only 20, mainly in Shanghai, because Shanghai is more a trendy and contemporary place. And this brand, as you can see, can you imagine who are the target audience of this brand? Huh? Young. Yes, exactly. It's very different from the TSL that I showed you before, right? The TSL that I showed you before was kind of elegant, high-end fashion brand. But this is very kind of hip and young brand. So the positioning is different. The use of color is different. They use black. Black is kind of cool. Black and also black and yellow. Black and yellow because the contrast is good. And also we also retain that logo bar because I'm going to talk about later why are we doing that? Because we want to retain a TSL family look. You know, a brand and sub-brands are important to a big company. For TSL, we have different brands, and we try to retain that kind of family look. So that's why we try to retain the slash, which is the logo bar, and TSL in front. But have you noticed in this big picture, this is not showing. This is not showing TSL Saks. Can you read this? Probably not, huh? It's too blurred. This is 謝瑞麟 Saks. Because when we first launched in China, we actually used TSL Saks. But in China, nobody knows what is TSL. That's why we finally changed back to 謝瑞麟. Because in China, people say, okay, TSL is a new brand, or what is it? So that's why finally we think that we retain the Chinese character of the founder called 謝瑞麟. So that's why it's 謝瑞麟 Saks. Okay? Okay, so we have not forgotten TSL, I mean the main brand. The main brand. So this is the main brand. We have rejuvenated that as well. See, the logo was changed to a simpler logo, TSL Zesur. But you can see it looks different, right? The signage is just different, slightly, right? Do you know why? Or can you guess? This was first designed, these two first designed, and then we changed to this. Any wild guess? Why we, for the same generation 6, anybody can guess why the signage is changed? Any wild guess? Huh? No?
To go with, just a guess, to go with the style of the streets of the mall, to
Okay.
go with,
You match with the mall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's maybe it is in some old district.
Okay.
And that one is more fashionable.
Okay.
It's in some new street or area. I don't know.
Okay. That's a good guess, but not right. In fact, why I think it's a good guess is we actually did something like this. Because when I launched my shop in Shanghai, you know Shanghai, have you been to Shanghai before? Yeah? Shanghai, there's a shopping street called Nanjing Silu, Donglu 还是西路? The one that is like very trendy, very high-end fashion, Rolex, all those fashion brands. I think it's Nanjing Silu. When we launched that brand, we used TSL Zesur. And then the authority in Shanghai of that street told me that I cannot use this logo. Can you guess why? This logo. I cannot use this.
Somebody already taken the logo.
No, we had registered that. So,
Okay.
good guess. Remember when you walk along that street, what kind of brands do they have? They have like Cartier, Rolex, Tiffany, right? So what are the common characteristics of those brands? Huh? Always
They don't have Chinese.
exactly because every brands are foreign brands, and TSL was the first Hong Kong brand or Asian brand to operate a shop along Nanjing Xilu. And we thought that, okay, we should use TSL Jesuit because it's our brand. But they told me that because Nanjing Xilu is a street that is full of international brands, everybody is using English. Why are you using Chinese? So they asked me to take that out. But do you think I took that out?
No.
No, of course, no. Because I tried to explain to them that TSL Zeseren is actually the full name of the brand. I mean, this is the logo. It's a totality logo. It's not language. It's not TSL as a language or Zeseren. It's not Chinese. It's a logo. It's a design, right? Because we have a proportion of these design, right? We have the typography. Like you learned all these typography, right, in terms of design. This is a combined look of a brand. You cannot change part of the Tiffany's brand, right? You cannot just go, hey, I don't like your F. Then you take out the F. You cannot do that, right? So we try to explain that every aspect of the logo, it has a meaning to the brand. So that's why we rejected that, okay? So that was an interesting story in Shanghai. Okay, going back to here. Because we changed that, because in the past when we do this, we try to use the brand which is more subtle. Because Tommy came back from America. In US, the logo or the signage, they are not as flashy or bright as in Hong Kong. Like in Hong Kong or in China, the neon lights are so bright, right? you will see lights everywhere. But in America, it's a bit more subtle. So that's why when we did the overall design of the logo, it's very dim light. It's actually backlit lighting. So when this was in Hong Kong, it's okay because we are operating in a standalone shop along the streets. So you will see TSL shop along the street. But when we go into China, remember I told you it's operated in a department store where there are 10 brands, 10, 15 brands all along the different parts of the department store. And if you are so subtle, nobody will see you. So that's why we changed that, and we have to change the design into a bright white color. So that is actually a LED lighting. So it's actually reflect a lot better when we are competing in China. So that's why we changed a little bit on this is how the design look in the latest design like this. It's very contemporary, very high-end fashion kind of brand right now. So this is the new look in China. So you see the choice of color is different. Okay. So okay. In the interest of time, I have to skip through this. Okay. Another experience that I want to share is remember the tagline I mentioned to you. What is the tagline? Huh? 非凡工艺潮流演繹 Trendsetting craftsmanship, right? That was when we first started the rebranding exercise. But later on, we changed this to the artisan of love. The reason why we changed that is that we did a lot of research. When we present the tagline to a lot of consumers. A lot of consumers like the tagline, trend-setting craftsmanship, because, oh, this is a brand that is very trendy and plays a lot of craftsmanship or emphasis on the craftsmanship. So they like the idea. But what they think that it doesn't have the emotional attachment. Remember, we are a jewelry brand. We are a brand that require a lot of emotion. Because when you buy a piece of jewelry, a diamond ring, a lot of times either you buy it because of wedding or you want to propose to your girlfriend, right? So there are some stories behind each piece of jewelry. So this is a very emotional brand. So if you have a tagline or if you something that is kind of functional, functional, it doesn't go too well with a brand like this. So that's why when we redesigned the logo, we changed the tagline to be the artisan of love. It tried to retain that kind of the feeling of trend-setting craftsmanship. Remember, trend-setting craftsmanship is to highlight the craftsmanship emphasis of Mr. Jie, right? Mr. Sherry Lee. Artisan is somebody who has the artistic feeling, but he's also a craftsman himself. So we try to retain that part of love. Love is kind of emotional. So we try to tell the customer that when you come to TSL, you are coming to an artisan who has a lot of feeling about love, because we understand that we are not selling you a piece of diamonds that is very expensive. Of course, a diamond is like $20,000 or $50,000, right? It's very expensive, but it's not how much that you pay for the diamond. It's the story, the love story between you and your husband, or you and your boyfriend, or your wife or your girlfriend. So it's the love that is more important in the piece of jewelry than the craftsmanship. So that's why we think that you are coming to an artisan who know about love, then it's a brand that is for you. So this is the story behind of this logic. Okay, so final comments about brand communication. Because maybe next time when I have the opportunity, I can show you how we do the communication in an impactful way. Because today we don't have too much time. I just skip through that, and I want to highlight a few things. First of all, when we do communication, remember we want to impress people that TSL has rebranded, right? So we want to make it a big thing. So when we make a TV commercial about a few years ago, we launched it in Hong Kong and in China. And the first thing that we want people to register is the logo change, right? The logo change and the change of the tagline, right? And secondly, is to register the corporate color, purple. So whenever you see a purple and white, you will associate it's TSL. So this is how we try to do. And when you see when we do advertising like this in outdoor area, we are trying to reinforce the brand, reinforce the color throughout our communication. And this is a China thing. Okay. But after we run it for 2 years, we also had, as I told you earlier, every brand needs to enhance. Because when we do this kind of major campaign, it's a major job for a marketer or the CEO to think of. So that's why a lot of times we think, okay, let's launch it. But after we launch it, we have to do a lot of reviews and see whether this is the best way communication forward. After 2 years, we think that the logo, the corporate bar is good, but it's very heavy, right? When you look at this, it's very heavy, right? when you do a major billboard like this, of course it's okay because it's very big. It's outdoor in Shanghai, in Guangzhou. The place is very big. So when you do a major billboard like this, it's fine. But when we are doing a advertising, if you have a block of purple underneath, you will find that advertising very heavy, right? It doesn't look good. It's not a contemporary feeling of a brand. So that's why we change a little bit, enhance a little bit. We do a gradation of the logo bar. So instead of going throughout the whole bottom, we only change the major purple on the left-hand side and then gradually fade it out on to the right. So it makes the copy a bit more clean and also is more contemporary. So just like this, when we do advertising like this, if we have the whole block of purple here, it doesn't look good. It's too heavy. But when you have a logo bar like this, it's lighter, it's more fresh looking, it's much better. Okay. Okay. Finally, I mentioned about sub-brands, right? I talked about the main brand TSL. We have talked about a tagline, a logo bar, a typography. This is the typography. It's especially designed. TSL is not a traditional Times Roman type of typography. It's very defined. Talking about typography, even the Chinese name 芥穗轮, Sherry is specially created characters. A lot of times when I go into China, a lot of people try to send greetings to us and put up a sign, TSL Sherry, the big sign, and say welcome, welcome. But they use a simplified Chinese, 芥穗轮. It's very strange because, as I mentioned to you, every part of the logo is the logo. You cannot just change it because it's simplified Chinese or traditional Chinese, right? It is a logo, it is a logo. So you cannot change because you are in China, you use a simplified Chinese, right? So that's why I told you you have to consider a brand, a logo, is a totality. It is not something that you break things out, right? So this is something that you have to learn. Okay. So this is a few slides that I want to show you. This is the TSL brand. From the mood board that you see, what do you see about this brand? What is the image? What is the feeling of this brand? Sorry? Luxury? Yes. What else? Elegant? Yes. Cheerful? Okay, because people are sharing and happy, yeah? What else? Okay, so basically, as you can see, TSL 芥穗轮 is like this. So when you refresh what I told you earlier, do you think we have tried to live up with this cleaner logo? Cleaner logo? More elegant. It's not very clumsy, like very Chinese calligraphy type of logo. And our shop design, it's more elegant, it's more trendy. So we try to live up with this brand image, right? Okay, so another brand. What do you think about this brand?
Chic, cool.
Chic, cool, yes. And what else? Huh?
Street.
This
Street.
street is like
街口.
huh? 街口. 街口是什么?
It's something like cool.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, it's a saying in China, right? 街口.
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 街口啊. Wow, it's the first time I heard of this. Okay, it's very common.
Yeah, it's something.
How do you use it?
It's something for the young guy.
Ah,
Like
guy.
they walking on the street.
Very
and do
interesting.
something cool. Actually, it's
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so as you can see, this is male. Yes, exactly. So yeah, one of our classmates has spotted this very important because traditional jewelry brand targets to female, right? But this brand targets to male or metrosexual. That is like both men and women. So that's why when you see this typeface, what do you see? Huh? How do you pronounce? You can guess. How do you pronounce this? Attila. Huh? Very difficult, huh? This is actually French. This is atelier. Atelier. Okay, this was a brand. This brand was actually created not in Hong Kong. This was created in Switzerland. Because have you been to Switzerland before? Okay, oh yeah, yes. When you go to Switzerland, what language do you speak?
French. I speak English, but most of the students they speak German.
Yes, Germany, right.
Italian and French.
Yes. So it's when you go to Switzerland, it's highly influenced by German and French. So that's why when this brand was created, this was a French word, and also because it's highly influenced by the Swiss-German culture. The Swiss-German culture is very masculine, heavy, thick. So when you see the design of the rings, it's very different from the rings that you wear right now. It's kind of thick and heavy. It's very sturdy, very Swiss-German type of design. So that's why when we do the design of the logo, we try to retain the logo bar, but do you notice that the color is being changed to red? Any reason why? Because the flag of Switzerland was red.
Also China.
Also China, of course. So that's why it tried to retain the origin of the brand. It's from Switzerland. So it's a Swiss-German brand with a touch of a Switzerland flag. Okay, here, this one. Well, we just talked about this, right? This is TSL Sex. Okay. What's the image of this brand? Colorful, yes, and dynamic, yes. Energetic. Okay. Yeah, very young, dynamic, very fun, happy. And here is New York. So this is a New York type of more funky type of a brand. So that's why you see, as I mentioned earlier to you, it uses yellow and black. It's kind of cool and high contrast because you see three colors here. Unlike TSL Zesolo, it's only one color, which is purple. But in here, it's more colorful. It's three colors. Okay? Here, this is Chinese. This is Chinese. Reason why? Huh? Because we are selling gold. Because in China, in fact, TSL was not selling too many golds. When you go to Zhao Daifeng or Zhao Shengsheng, right? They sell a lot of golds, like 90% or 80% of their sales actually gold. But TSL was more jewelry, diamonds type of brand. So that's why we create a sub-brand selling gold called Zhe Sui, like this. This is just like a Chinese chop, right? It's 嗰啲印, right? 嗰啲印. So when we create this, it goes like this. It goes vertical. It goes a contrast of red and black. Red and gold, right? It goes very well. Because when you consider if you use this purple and TSL 謝瑞麟 here and put it in here, it looks very strange, right? Because when you go into China, everywhere is red, right? Everything is red, especially during Chinese New Year. And then you suddenly put a purple bar underneath. It doesn't look good. So that's why we had an adaptation like this. Okay, so maybe I should end with the last slide here. For those from Hong Kong, have you seen this ad before? Oh, okay, you do, huh? Because this was a very interesting advertising. Because in the past, when we do advertising, we are targeting to a more mature target segments, 30 end 30s, early 40s. But we had designed a new collection targeting to young people, young ladies or young men. So what we try to do, or what we changed, is to use a lot of online promotion, online internet promotion. So what we have done is we invited 12 celebrities. Have you noticed? We can recognize these, right? 移民啦，係嘛？移民啦，黃婉芝啦，and 呢個係高山低谷啊，係啦，梅芳啦，卓韻芝啦，係嘛？呢個知啦，係嘛？方健儀啦，呢個你估到啦，係嘛？黃維基啊，你估唔到佢係黃維基啊 ？OK， 你知呢個邊個？係啊，葉鴻輝嘅鋼門啦，係咪？咁唔講就但係好多唔同嘅 celebrities 啦嚇，咁佢咧就用唔同嘅 sign 啊，因為we're trying to ask these celebrities to self-express themselves because young people want to express themselves freely on their own. So they use their character to express themselves. This guy is the soccer gatekeeper. So he's using a ball, a football, and this is his hand sign. So everybody express their own personality, and we put that online, and we put a hashtag called 子語 finger sign. I don't know where it's in English, finger sign or something like that. 子語, and on the same day, all these 12 celebrities put on their social media, on their Weibo, on their Facebook, on their Twitter, and suddenly these followers start to realize, oh, okay, there's something interesting about this program. So they try to look for the other sign, the other hand signs, and then they find, oh, it's from TSL. So it's a very interesting way to communicate our campaign. So this was done in Hong Kong. And we also did something similar in China. Have you recognized any of these from China? To me, I don't know them. Huh? You do recognize some of these, right? Okay, I won't ask you to name them because I don't know. Okay, so these are the celebrities in China because we know that in Hong Kong and China they're different. People like the ones in Hong Kong, but some people don't like in China, and vice versa. So we did a same campaign again in China, but using different celebrities. But also the same mechanism is about finger signage. Okay, so I think I have to stop here. Is there any question or comments so far that you've heard all my presentation? Any? Okay.
Actually, I have a question about your brand promotion in New York. That's
in what? Sorry.
Brand promotion in New York. That's
in New World.
New York.
New York. Oh, okay. You know that we have done something in New York. You just spit food.
About the logo, I mean, you have used Chinese style and also Saks. Saks? Why?
Oh, you mean you are not talking about this? You're not talking about this.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought because this was done in New York. Because this was actually we are the first jewelry brand to launch a collection in New York in collaboration with a designer called Vivian Tan. Have you heard of Vivian Tan before?
Only you alone.
Yeah, Polly Yu Xijie. She's really a very famous designer from Polly Yu, and she's now staying in New York, and we actually did a collaboration with her. Sorry, you were mentioning about
Your logo.
oh, okay, the sex. This one.
Yes, this one. You have used Chinese style.
Yeah.
It's the Chinese word sharing and then
Here.
red bar and then Saks. I mean, my question is why you use Chinese word instead of not using the TSL Spanish word?
Okay, I think.
It's in Europe, right?
Yeah. I mentioned to you earlier that when we first launched this brand, yes, we actually used TSL sex in the first place. But because in China, we thought that in Shanghai people know English, so we thought we should use TSL sex. But somehow when we have received so many feedback from the customers, from our salesmen, that people don't know what is TSL, so they only know sharing. So that's why we think that because we want to appeal to the local Chinese, we decided sharing as a Chinese character. But in the first place, when we designed the brand, it was actually in English. Yeah. Is there? Yeah. Oh, okay. It was it's an evolution. When I first designed this young brand, the owner, Tommy, right? Tommy is the son of Mr. Serban, and his wife, Annie, actually drive this development. Annie was a musician herself. I mean, part-time, of course. she likes violin. She's very into music. So that's why when she designed this Saks brand, she really wants this brand to use music as the brand essence or the brand character. So that's why when she think of the names, she actually used saxophone. So SAXOPHONE. So that was TSL saxophone. But it doesn't sound good, right? It's TSL saxophone. It doesn't sound good. So she just shortened it. Okay, I'm playing sax. So that is a sort of an American slang way of shortening the saxophone name. So that's why when she designed the shop design, she actually put a saxophone into each shop. So it's somehow to illustrate the saxophone origin, and also even with this design of the jewelry, some of the inspiration were actually from the musical instruments like saxophone or brass or something. So they actually use the music instrument in the jewelry design. Yeah.
I know how did you measure effectiveness?
It depends on how do you include, or what have you included in the rebranding campaign? The reason why I'm asking is this rebranding campaign is very huge. It ranges from the redesign of the logo to the relaunch of the TV advertising to the redesign of the product. So what we have tried to measure, we have different ways to measure the effectiveness. First of all, if we are redesigning the logo, we are measuring the logo recall, the type of how many people remember that you have changed your logo. or what is the logo color. Say we do some kind of blind test, or we kind of use focus group research to test what kind of brand that you associate with this logo. Maybe today I don't have the time to explain in detail, but what we have done is, say for example, we put up a TSL logo. We mask out this logo. We just give people this mood board and ask them to respond. Which brand can you associate this with? So some people will say, oh, this is Tiffany. Or some people will say Zhao Daifeng or whatever. So we try to measure the correct response of whether we have done a good job or not. Because if you are not doing a good job, after you spend all this money, people associate wrongly with your brand. It doesn't make sense. So this is how we try to measure the effectiveness. Secondly, the rebranding exercise also involves a lot of sales push, because we have done a major advertising launch. We also measure by the number of sales that we have intake, how many new customers that we have gained, and so on. So there are a lot of different ways to measure. It really depends on the objective. Yeah. Is there any other questions? Yeah.
I have a question that you have some sub-brands in addition to the local, the original thing. I want to ask something about the price. Like you said of such sub-brands, so the target customers must be different. Like for the young guys, we may like something cheaper, other than the Asian one, which is more luxury. So do you have such?
You mean the price range, right? Okay. Yeah, you're right. If there is no difference between pricing or target audience, why do you create so many brands, right? So the reason for that is we try to target to different segments, and different segments have different affordability, because they can't afford, for young people, they can't afford to be very expensive. For TSL it's the luxury brand. Of course, we have like $10,000 or up, right? Or something like these, like $100,000 or even more expensive. Like for brand pieces, it's over 1 million. So TSL means the upper end, more premium, more expensive brand. For TSL Atelier, we are targeting to all. Not the lower end. We are actually targeting to the premium, because these are the young guys. They are more affordable. They are the business executives. As you can see, we are targeting to some people who are well dressed. They are educated. They are young executives. So they are more willing to pay money. So that's why these are more expensive rings. For normal rings, probably less than $10,000 per ring, right? But for these, probably $20,000, $50,000. So it really depends on the types of ring. Huh? But for this, because we're trying to young people, it's a few thousand, $2,000, $3,000. So it's and you can see the use of metal may be different. They are not gold. They are probably silver. They're probably 18 karat gold. So it's not as expensive as the main brand. Of course, this is per gram usage, so it's really not very expensive. Okay.
I think we better keep the Q&A session. I think this should have been the last one.
Okay.
we don't want to keep you here all night.
Okay.
We need to leave some time for group pictures and some things we need to give you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
And maybe if you guys want to have private chats with him, you can keep your questions really short and sweet and pose it to him when we after we finish up what we need to do. Without further, let me do something. I need to collect something. Hold on. Oh, it's there. Give me a moment. Is there anybody who has not put your linguistic sign on this?
Linguistic sign.
Okay, give us a quick moment.
Okay. Or should I just ask them to ask the question first?
Okay, then. Quick.
Okay, who is? Oh, okay.
So during the rebranding campaign, were all the branches renovated, or just some of them were renovated?
Okay. That's a very good question. Consider a chain of 300 shops. You cannot complete it in 1 year. Because a lot of times it's because of the relocation of the shop. Because especially in China, our tenancy agreement probably is 1 year or even or maximum 2 years. Then you have to move to another location or have to renew the tenancy agreement. So we have to match with the tenants, the removal of the shop before we do the renovation. Otherwise, it's a waste of money. So that is first thing. Secondly is money. Because renovating a shop costs you a lot of money, especially for the shops in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong shop is much bigger and also the use of materials is more expensive. Talking about millions of dollars per shop. So consider if you have 10 shops, millions of dollars of tens of millions of dollars per year. So we will not be able to complete it every year. So whenever we do this kind of exercise, that's why we target every 5 years to change it. Like it's a continuous improvement. Whenever we have shops being changed in Hong Kong and then slowly roll out into China and the further away in China, then it's almost the time for us to change in Hong Kong again. Then it's kind of a it's a rolling forecast kind of thing, right? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I just one more question. With the new concept of the stores, the layout, which is more interactive, obviously, with the customers, did you have any pushback or any difficulty getting staff to maybe create a different kind of environment in the store?
You mean whether the staff welcome the idea of the change, right?
Yeah, and the customers as well. It's the whole kind of
I think to the customers, I think they really welcome this idea because, as I said, in the past when we serve them inside a circle, we can't really say that we are serving them because you just tell me which one you like, I'll give it to you. So it's not serving them. But in the new retail concept, we are actually serving them because we are helping you to choose the right one, and then you help the customer to put them on. So to the customers, they really welcome this idea. But for the staff, of course, there might be difference in opinion. They also think that there are a lot more job to do, right? But I think we had done a good job in what we call customer service training. Is that we try to educate that this is not just serving the customer that gives you a lot of burden to do, but because you do a better service, the higher chance for you to get a referrals or the higher chance for them to close the sale. And it's actually proven. So that's why to many of our staff, they have actually experienced this improvement in sales, then they are doing a better job next time.
Okay. If I could steal your microphone,
Yeah, sure, of course, yeah.
I think you're tired from all that rich talking. And I cannot give you real gold. I know you used to sell gold, but I have something next to
The better ones.
well, something of a not premium line, but something that imitates real world.
Wow.
I have something that's golden in color, but it's inexpensive, but it's sweet.
Wow.
It's a little Godiva chocolate from me and the class.
I love Godiva.
Good. I'm glad I picked the right thing. And this is a little thank you card from the whole class.
Wow, that's
Thanks, Snoopy, my favorite character.